Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 2 in the morning, not from a bad dream, but because your bladder is screaming for a trip to the bathroom? For the second, or maybe even the third time that night. You know that feeling of frustration, lying there in the dark, calculating if you can even get back to sleep before the sun comes up. Most folks just sigh and accept it as a normal, unavoidable part of getting older. But I'm here to tell you that a short, groggy walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night is statistically one of the most dangerous moments for anyone over 60. A single misstep on a rug, a brief moment of dizziness. The CDC reports that millions of older adults fall each year, and so many of these devastating accidents happen right at home, in the dark. It is a silent threat that we have been ignoring for far too long. But what if I told you that for so many of my patients, the secret to sleeping soundly through the night wasn't found in a prescription bottle? What if I told you that a simple spice, likely sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now, is what doctors are just now realizing can dramatically calm an overactive bladder at night? It sounds almost too simple to be true. I know. That's what I thought too, at first. Let me tell you about John, a 72-year-old retired firefighter from just outside of Austin, Texas. A man who used to run into burning buildings. He told me, with a tear in his eye, that he was more afraid of his own hallway at night than any fire he'd ever faced. Waking up 4 times a night, his wife, Sarah, would lie awake just listening for his footsteps, terrified he would fall. He felt hopeless, until he tried this simple remedy. The change was so profound, it shocked us both. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on why these nightly bathroom breaks happen. More importantly, I'm going to share the exact spice John used and the correct way to prepare it. And please, I urge you to watch until the very end, because there is a critical warning that comes with this remedy. The information in that final section could quite literally save you, or a loved one from a life-altering accident. My name is Dr. Evans, and for over 3 decades, I've dedicated my practice to helping folks like you navigate the challenges of aging with dignity and strength. Before we dive in, I truly want to know how many of us have faced this. If what I just shared feels familiar, please comment a simple yes below. It shows me you understand, and it shows others they are not alone. Okay, let's get started. Alright, let's get into the heart of the matter. We're going to explore the 3 hidden reasons behind those frustrating nightly trips to the bathroom, and then, his simple one-spice solution that has brought so much peace to so many. We'll start with hidden reason number 1. Your kidneys have changed their schedule. Now, first, let's talk about something that happens deep inside all of us, a quiet shift that occurs over many years. As we get older, our bodies begin to produce less of a very important hormone called ADH, which stands for antidiuretic hormone. I know that sounds like a complicated medical term, but I want you to think of ADH in a much simpler way. Imagine your kidneys are a diligent, 24-hour water processing plant for your body. And ADH? Well, ADH is the nighttime manager. During the day, the plant is running at full steam, filtering your blood, processing fluids, and keeping everything in balance. That's its job. But when the sun goes down and you get ready for bed, the nighttime manager, ADH, is supposed to walk onto the factory floor and tell all the workers, "Alright, everyone, time to slow things down. Let's reduce production for the night shift. The boss needs to rest." This signal is what allows your body to hold on to water for a longer period, letting you sleep for 6, 7, or even 8 uninterrupted hours. It's a beautiful, natural rhythm that our bodies are designed to follow. But here's the core of the issue, and it's a reason that's essential to understand. As we gracefully age, our body produces less of this nighttime manager. The signal to slow down becomes weaker, sometimes almost a whisper. So, even when you're sound asleep, your kidneys are still working the day shift. They keep processing fluid at a steady rate, right through the night, filling your bladder much more quickly than they did when you were 40 or 50. To make matters worse, the bladder itself changes over time. Think of it like a balloon. When you're young, it's incredibly elastic and can stretch to hold a good amount of fluid without issue. After 60 or 70 years of faithful service, that elasticity naturally decreases a bit. So now, you have a perfect storm brewing inside you every night. a production plant that won't slow down, and a storage tank that has a slightly smaller capacity. This isn't a disease. Please hear me when I say that. It is a natural, predictable shift in our body's internal clock. It is the fundamental reason why something that never bothered you in your younger years can become a primary disruptor of your peace and sleep later in life. This is why you might feel perfectly fine all day long, enjoying your afternoon, eating dinner, watching your favorite show. But the moment your head hits the pillow, it feels like a switch has been flipped and the parade to the bathroom begins. It reminds me so much of my patient, Eleanor. She's a wonderful woman, a retired schoolteacher from Pennsylvania, sharp as a tack at 82. She came into my office one day, and I could see the exhaustion etched onto her face. She sat down and said, "Doctor, it feels like my body's clock is broken. It's like it thinks midnight is noon. I am so tired of being tired." And in a way, she was absolutely right. Her internal clock had shifted. Studies from the highly respected National Institute on Aging have highlighted these very hormonal shifts as a primary factor in what doctors call nocturia, which is simply the medical term for waking up at night to urinate. Seeing the science behind it, understanding that there was a real, biological reason for her struggle, was the first step in Eleanor's healing. It lifted a burden of guilt from her shoulders. She realized she wasn't doing anything wrong. Her body was just changing. So, the very first step in finding a solution is to grant yourself that same grace. Stop blaming yourself. The solution is not, and I repeat, is not to simply stop drinking water in the evening. So many people make this mistake, and it's a dangerous one. As we get older, we are more susceptible to dehydration, which can lead to a whole host of other problems, from dizziness and falls to urinary tract infections and confusion. Depriving your body of water is the wrong answer to the question. The real solution isn't about less fluid, but about helping your body manage that fluid more intelligently. It's about finding a way to gently send that "slow down for the night" signal back to your kidneys. And we will get to how to do that. But first, just accepting this internal change is the foundation for everything else. If this explanation makes sense to you, and you now understand this first hidden reason, please take a moment and comment the word "understand" below. It helps me know we're on the right track, and it lets others see that this is a shared experience. Alright, now let's move on to hidden reason number 2. The silent irritants in your evening routine. Now that we understand what's happening inside our bodies, let's look at what we're putting into them, especially in the last few hours before bed. Many of us have cherished evening rituals. Perhaps it's a cup of what we believe is a calming decaf tea, or a small snack while watching the news. We do these things to wind down, to signal to our bodies that the day is over. But many of these seemingly harmless habits contain what I call silent irritants, and they could be secretly sabotaging your sleep. Here's the science behind it, and it's quite straightforward. Certain foods and drinks are naturally high in acid, or contain compounds that can gently irritate the very sensitive inner lining of your bladder. Think of it like getting a little speck of dust in your eye. Your eye's immediate reaction is to water and try to flush it out. It creates a feeling of urgency. Your bladder works in a very similar way. When its lining is irritated, it sends frantic "I have to go" signals to your brain, even when it is nowhere near full. Common culprits include the obvious ones like caffeine and alcohol, but also many hidden ones. The acid in tomatoes and citrus fruits, the fizz in carbonated drinks, spicy foods, artificial sweeteners found in many diet products, and even chocolate. And yes, even decaffeinated coffee and tea still contain small amounts of caffeine and other acidic compounds that can be enough to trigger a sensitive bladder. Now you might be thinking, "But doctor, I've been eating those things my whole life and they never bothered me before." And you would be right. But here is the key, the core reason this becomes a problem as we age. Just like the skin on our hands becomes thinner and more sensitive over the years, the delicate lining of our bladder can also become more sensitive. That glass of orange juice or that little piece of dark chocolate that was perfectly fine at age 45 can now be the very thing that's waking you up at 3 a.m. It's not that the food has changed, it's that our body's response to it has. Have you ever had that powerful, sudden feeling of urgency where you have to rush to the bathroom right away, only to find that there wasn't actually much there? That is the classic telltale sign of bladder irritation, not a truly full bladder. Your brain is getting a false alarm, triggered by something you ate or drank hours earlier. I remember a patient of mine, Robert, a retired truck driver who was at his wit's end. He was getting up 3 to 4 times a night. We went over his daily routine, and it all seemed fine. But then we looked closer at his evenings. Every night, for years, he would have a bowl of his favorite tomato soup with his dinner. On paper, it was a healthy meal. But tomatoes are highly acidic. I suggested a simple experiment. Robert, I said, for just 1 week, let's switch that tomato soup for a chicken noodle or a vegetable broth soup instead. Let's just see what happens. He was skeptical, but he was willing to try anything. A week later, he came back to my office with a huge smile on his face. His nightly trips had been cut in half. It was that simple. For him, the tomato soup was the silent irritant. It was the key. So, here is your call to action for this hidden reason. Become a gentle detective for your own body. For 1 week, just pay attention. Keep a little mental note. Notice if your nights are worse after you've had spaghetti with marinara sauce, or that glass of wine, or your favorite spicy dish. The solution here is simply awareness. You don't necessarily have to give up your favorite foods forever, but you might find that having them earlier in the day makes a world of difference. Try switching your evening beverage to something known to be soothing, like a simple, non-citrus herbal tea such as chamomile or peppermint. Start listening to your body. It holds the clues. I know this might be surprising for some of you. If you just had a little light bulb moment, thinking about a food or drink that might be the culprit for you, comment while below. Let's see how many of us were unknowingly irritating our systems. And that brings us to our final and most important section. The solution. The calming spice hiding in your cabinet. So we know our body's internal clock has shifted, and we know that certain foods in the evening can make things much worse. We understand the why. But now, let's talk about the what. What can we proactively do, right before bed, to calm the entire system down? This brings us full circle, back to John's story, the retired firefighter who was afraid of his own hallway. This is the simple, powerful secret he discovered. The spice is nutmeg. Yes, the very same warm, fragrant spice you probably have in your rack for holiday baking. For centuries, traditional medicine and grandmotherly wisdom have used tiny amounts of nutmeg as a gentle sleep aid and muscle relaxant. Now, modern science is beginning to understand why it works. In small, controlled amounts, nutmeg contains natural compounds like myristicin and eugenol. These compounds have mild sedative and anti-inflammatory properties. It appears to work in 2 beautiful, complementary ways for our specific problem. First, it helps to gently relax the central nervous system, calming the chatter in our minds and preparing the body for deep, restorative sleep. Second, and this is crucial, it has an antispasmodic effect. That means it helps to calm and relax involuntary muscles. The bladder, the part that contracts and gives you that feeling of urgency, is an involuntary muscle called the detrusor muscle. The gentle, calming properties of nutmeg can help soothe that muscle, making it less twitchy and less likely to send those false alarm signals to your brain throughout the night. This isn't some new, fancy invention. It's about rediscovering the gentle, profound wisdom that our ancestors knew. When I first suggested this to John, he was, understandably, very skeptical. "Nutmeg, Doc?" he asked me. "You mean the stuff my wife puts in pumpkin pie?" But he was desperate. And after just 3 nights of trying this simple ritual, he called my office. I could hear the emotion in his voice. "Doc," he said, "I slept for 6 straight hours last night. 6 hours. For the first time in what feels like 10 years. That, my friends, is not a placebo. That is life-changing." So, here is the exact, safe method. About 30 to 45 minutes before you plan to go to sleep, take a very small pinch of ground nutmeg. And when I say small, I mean it. We are talking no more than 1/8 of a teaspoon. That is a tiny amount. You can simply mix it into a tablespoon of warm milk or a little bit of applesauce to make it easier to swallow, or even just lick it right off the spoon. The key is to be consistent with it for at least a week to see how your body responds. Now, I must be absolutely crystal clear about this next part. This is my critical warning to you. With nutmeg, more is not better. In larger doses, like a full teaspoon or more, nutmeg can be toxic and can cause very serious side effects like nausea, extreme dizziness, and even hallucinations. Please, I ask you, respect this powerful, natural spice. A tiny pinch is all you need. That is where the magic lies. Do not be tempted to use more, thinking it will work better. It won't. Promise me you will be careful and honor this safe amount. If you understand this very important warning and you are ready to try this simple, safe, and gentle method, please comment "I promise" below. It lets me know that you have heard and understood this crucial safety instruction. As we come to a close, let's go back to where we started, with John. Remember John, the retired firefighter from Texas? The strong man who told me he was more afraid of his own dark hallway at night than any fire he'd ever faced. Today, John is thriving. He and his wife, Sarah, are finally sleeping soundly through the night. But he told me something a few weeks ago that truly stuck with me. He said the biggest change wasn't just the wonderful, uninterrupted sleep. It was the return of his confidence. He's no longer afraid in his own home. He walks that hallway now with a quiet assurance, knowing that his body is at peace. In his own simple, powerful words, he told me, "Doc, I got my dignity back." And there is no greater gift than that. His story, my friend, reveals a profound truth that I have seen time and time again in my 3 decades of practice. The power to reclaim our health, our dignity, our peace of mind. It so often doesn't come from a complicated new machine or an expensive, hard-to-pronounce prescription. It comes from the simple, quiet wisdom that has been with us all along. It's about learning to listen to our bodies once more, really listen, and giving them the gentle, simple support they need to find their natural balance again. The solutions are often right there, hiding in plain sight, waiting in our kitchen cabinets. As we wrap up our time together, we've explored these hidden reasons and uncovered a simple, natural solution. But knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. So now, I have one final, and perhaps the most important question for you today. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself this week after watching this video? Maybe it's as simple as, "I promise to pay attention to my evening tea and see if it's a trigger." Or perhaps, "I will safely and carefully try that tiny pinch of nutmeg before bed." It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. The smallest steps create the biggest ripples. Please, share your personal commitment in the comments below. Reading your promises doesn't just help you stick to them. It creates a beautiful tapestry of inspiration for everyone else in this community. It shows others that they are not alone on this journey. And finally, if this video has offered you a little bit of hope or a practical tool you can use today, please consider showing your support by giving it a like. It truly helps more people find our community. To ensure you continue on this journey with us and never miss another video full of this kind of practical wisdom,